What's up, Georgia Bulldogs? This is Savannah Hernandez with Glory Days, and today I'll be giving you a recap on Georgia's 2022 football season. From proving college game day wrong,
sorry about it, Aldo. Tennessee, a team of destiny,
to midnight victories,
it's on the way, no good, he hooked it, and Georgia is going to survive.
and kissing trophies, it's great to be a dog for the second consecutive year as once again national champions. But before we get too deep into this celebratory recap, we have to take one step at a time. Let's talk TCU. Georgia is the first team in the CFP era to win back-to-back national titles. If you were here in downtown Athens on January 9th, you were able to experience history in the making with thousands of students and fans. Students crowded the streets, climbed poles, and ripped out stop signs. Adrenaline was pumping and people were spraying champagne, so it was certainly a sight to be seen. However, the aftermath of the celebration of estimated 10 to 15,000 people was costly to the city. The Dogs have a very passionate fan base, to say the least. Unfortunately for the Horned Frogs, the Natty at SoFi Stadium did not go as planned, bringing their storybook ending to a tragic close. Max Duggan and his crew left California with a little less fame and glory than expected. Number 1 Georgia obliterated number 3 TCU with unstoppable momentum and offensive strength. With the final score of 65-7, the TCU end zone remained mostly empty and the Dogs claimed another type of accolade. Georgia's 58-point win over TCU is unequivocally the largest blowout in college football championship history. In fact, according to ESPN, it's the biggest victory margin in any bowl game in all of college football history. Stetson Bennett's final game as a Bulldog pulled at the heartstrings, even head coach Kirby Smart's 10-year-old son, Andrew.
And I don't know if Stetson knows this, but I walked in and my 10-year-old son, Andrew's bawling. And I was like, oh no, somebody's hurt his feelings. Somebody's thrown him down. Somebody's done something to him. I said, why are you crying? You're going to ruin my moment. He said, Stetson's leaving. Stetson's gone. I said, he's 25 years old. He's got to go.
Bennett was able to go out with class, getting a standing ovation from the crowd as he exited the field at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Bennett received one FBS scholarship from Middle Tennessee State when recruited out of high school. Bennett opted to be a walk-on at Georgia instead, but then left to play junior college football at Jones County Junior College. After 1 year, he returned to Georgia, but as a backup. Bennett's college career has proved to be many things, but he will leave making a big impact on Georgia's football history. Smart stated after the game that Bennett has, quote, GOAT status in Athens, Georgia forever. Bennett completed 18 of 25 passes for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns and ran in for 2 more scores. With Bennett no longer eligible to compete at the collegiate level, there will be a shift in leadership roles for Georgia's program. Redshirt sophomore and backup quarterback Carson Beck had the opportunity to play with the Georgia offense throughout the season. In 2022, Beck had the completion percentage of 74.3 and threw for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. However, Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift, and Gunnar Stockton will all be competing for that starting spot this spring. Even though Beck played at the backup position this past season, all is fair in love and war, and anything can happen between now and the fall. Top receiver for the national championship game and key offensive player Brock Bowers will be returning for this upcoming season. The sophomore tight end will make a big impact on the 2023 season. Bowers retained many awards for his efforts, and we hope his success only continues. While there's some strong players returning for the 2023 season, we are losing some talent as well. Last year, Georgia broke the record in the NFL draft for 15 players selected in 2022, 5 of which being defensive players in the first round. Will the Bulldogs obtain draft domination once again? Cornerback Keely Ringo, offensive tackle Broderick Jones, and tight end Darnell Washington are headed to the NFL draft after helping the Bulldogs win their second straight national title. Starting offensive tackle Warren McClendon will also be joining them, along with running back Kenny McIntosh and one of the best defensive tackles in the nation, Jalen Carter. While we didn't get to see key defensive player Nolan Smith play throughout the entire season due to a pectoral injury, he also declared for the NFL draft. Others include wide receiver Kearis Jackson, safety Christopher Smith, offensive linebacker Robert Beal, offensive lineman Warren Erickson, and kicker Jack Podlesny. In the age of NIL, the transfer portal has become quite active for a variety of reasons. Here's an update on who's in the transfer portal. A.D. Mitchell, Trezman Marshall, N.J. Sherman, Jaheim Singletary, Jacob Hood, Rylan Godey, Dominic Blaylock, Brett Seether, and Eric Gilbert. Talk about a three-peat for the Georgia Bulldogs is alive and well. After being able to lock down a perfect season going 15-0, there were questions to Kirby Smart in their post-game interview about their ability to potentially do it again.
The biggest challenge is the same thing it is in all of the world we live in today. It's society we live in, entitlement. So the minute that you think you're entitled to winning games and you don't have to work hard, Coach Dykes and I were talking about it, you know, the uphill battle for those guys is you think that you just inherit success. And I personally think next year is going to be a much more difficult challenge over this year.
The 2023 schedule will include non-conference teams UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, and Georgia Tech. There are two notable road games, September 30th at Auburn and November 18th at Tennessee. Based on their schedule next season, Georgia's road to a three-peat looks quite promising. Turns out our bark is as bad as our bite. After the #1 Bulldogs came out on top in the Natty for the second consecutive year, many fans and media personnel are questioning if Georgia is entering its Dynasty era. After breaking all records that night, first back-to-back title winners, third FBS teams with a perfect season and largest margin in Natty or Bowl history ever, it seems as if the Dogs are unstoppable. Even with the loss of big-name players, Georgia was able to secure the top spot in Bleacher Report's super early preseason rankings. Needless to say, it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. That's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the fall for another football season with the Dogs. This is Savannah Hernandez, and Glory, Glory.